We're live once again. How are you? Hope you've had a good week so far. We're all fairly well here. It's been a cold day here in London today. In London, what am I saying? I've just been talking to someone who said he was in London. I'm in Cambridge. I should know that by now, shouldn't I? I've been here for years. How are you then? Want to say hello to DGS Great from Sweden, who's in the chat room already. Hello to you. Hope you're well. He's coming to London soon. He's having his holes in the city, and that should be good. And he wanted to know, can anyone tell me who's in the chat room if HMV is still in London? I'm pretty sure it still is. Hello, Jonathan. How are you? How's it down there in St. Columb? Did I say that right? I never know. I never quite know how to say that. Yeah, still in Cornwall. So, what are we going to talk about this evening? Well, Jonathan Brewer, yes, he was one of the winners of his Blu-rays in the giveaway last week. He hasn't received them yet, but he's going to get them tomorrow, apparently. So that'll be good. Looking back on last week, didn't do much blogging last week for some reason or other. Didn't quite feel the urge to do too much. Had a few videos out, as you're well aware. But what I have noticed recently, hello, Chris, how are you? Guess what? I played your Edward Woodward LP today. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Looking at my videos from last week, they did very poorly. So this week, I'm going to make a change. We're going to have a bit of fun with the videos this week instead of being all serious. So I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow, which hopefully will go out on Wednesday. And we're going to try and find another one towards the end of the week. Andy Merritt, how are you? I have to tell you, I've been talking about for weeks that I was doing a giveaway. Well, I've been the recipient of some giveaways, right? And, excuse me, I've had two people send me stuff over the last week. One of them is in the chat room, Chris Pomfret. He asked me a couple of weeks ago, in this chat room, funnily enough, we were talking about records, and he's digitizing his dad's old records. And what he's been doing has been telling me which of his dad's records he's done. And so I have a couple of them up there. And he talked about this one particular album by Edward Woodward. You either know him as Callum or The Equalizer, one of the two. Anyway, he sent me this LP, and I have to say, I'll read you what he said to me, right? He went, "You're not the only one who can do a giveaway. I had to go to the post office today and a few bits and pieces for eBay. So as you're feeling a little bit down, I thought I'd send you this unwanted record." And he said he won't be offended if I chuck it in the bin. Well, this morning, if you check your email box, Chris, you will see that I actually played the record. He says there's two ways to enjoy it. Either play it, or he believes that LPs make great frisbees. So I was thinking about frisbeeing it, but what I thought I'd do is I'd give it a listen, right? I wasn't expecting a lot, I have to be honest. But you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. He can carry a tune, not the sort of music that I particularly love. I must admit, his version of Last Time Ever I Saw Your Face wasn't fantastic. But this is it here. I don't want to show you it properly in case you get all excited by it and you want it yourself. But I will be keeping it, funnily enough, because it wasn't as bad as Chris told me. So that's one of the things I was given. And one of our viewers has been kind enough to send me 6 DVDs in the course of this week. One of which I'm really looking forward to seeing, because I haven't seen it for ages. Cool Hand Luke. Do you remember that one? I take it it'll be in black and white, because that's the only way I've ever seen it before. But I'll be looking at that. So yeah, I've had a few giveaways myself, which has been really, really nice. Now, those of you who follow my posts on the tags and that, I've decided my next good. I'm glad that someone surprised. Don't be, Chris. I've got eclectic tastes. Those of you who read my posts in the community tab on here will know that I've had this idea for doing the next video, and the video is going to be about the first 10 albums that I ever had. Now, I had this idea and I thought about it. Hi, Luke, how are you? There's my DVD giveaway winner that I was talking about. How's Dartford this tonight? Do you live near the tunnel? Luke, that's what I wanted to ask you. Do you live near the tunnel? I've got something to tell you about that. Yes, I'm going to do this video this week of the first 10 albums I ever had. Now, I already had it in my mind what I thought were these 10 albums. However, I found a photo of me on my 6th birthday the other day, and I was holding a record very badly because I was holding it by the black bits. And this record, I didn't know what it was, but I could kind of make out the label on it. And when I checked, I had a look and I thought to myself, I know that label. And I went into the world of the internet and tried to find the label because I couldn't remember what the record was. And so I went hunting about on the net. It took me about half hour, but I found the label. Once I found the label, I was able to find out the company that it was made by. And then I went onto one of the channels that I watch. And I then found out what the album was. And I knew it the second I saw the cover. I knew what the record was the second I saw the cover on it. And that was brilliant. And that turned out to be my first album. I bought the second one myself about 5 days after my birthday, and I'll be telling you more about that. But it was a really interesting thing to do because when the first 10 that I wrote out, I thought to myself, that was one of my first, that was one of my first, and so on and so on and so on. And it turns out that 3 of what I thought was my first 10 weren't at all. And so it's an interesting list. And sadly, 3 of them I don't have anymore. But I'll tell you all about that there and then. Oh, famous oil. No, Blooming Bridge. I would Coco. I got a letter through the post the other day, Luke. I got done for speeding going through the tunnel. On the run up to the tunnel the last time I was driving home from Kent. I've got to go on one of those driver awareness courses now. So I was a bad boy. So yeah, we're going to be going through that. I got to find another video for the end of the week, but I'm going to try and film that one tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to sharing that. And while I'm at it, let me ask you a question. Andy's not sure he can remember what his first albums were in order. Well, I'm a bit OCD like that. I kind of remember when I bought stuff. One of the albums that I had in my 10. Hello, Tammy. How are you? Good to see you. One of the albums that I had in my 10 was the Four Tops Greatest Hits. Recorded probably about 1967. But my problem with doing my list was that I have a brother who's 10 years older than me. So when I was 6, he was 16. And he was 16 and absolutely loved the Motown sound. And the Atlantic sound and Stax and all those sorts of things. So I always think back, and when I hear them, I'm immediately 6 again, or 7 or 8 or whatever it is. But I thought to myself that I'd bought the Four Tops Greatest Hits and it would have been in my top 10. But when I stopped and thought about it, I didn't buy that until after my brother had got married, because he took his Motel records away, and it was then that I started collecting them. So I had to put that to one side and realise that it wasn't part of it. So it would have been in my second 10, if you like. Right, what's going on in this room? Let me just have a look. One of your first audio cassettes was Jarre's Oxygen. I had that on an album, and I also had, can't think of it, it was like a greatest hits one with all of the different tracks on. Quite like that. Do I remember Liberace on the television? Yes, he was very sequined, wasn't he? So what were your early records? That's what I want to know. What was your early records that you had and you bought? Chris did tell me, in fact, he emailed me and told me how he came to get his first album. It's great. I really enjoyed reading the story how he got that. So that was his first one. It was from a TV series. And who doesn't love a TV series theme? That's what I say. So what else have we got here? An older brother. Yeah, Luke. I bet it was. My sister is even older than my brother, so she's 12 years older than me. So all of the music that I love, I think I can't listening to this. My dad had all the Beatles albums when I was little, so I kind of had this grounding of loads and loads of really good music from a very young age. And I've talked about it before on the channel, that the first input of music that I had were from reel-to-reel tapes that my dad had. And my godfather owned a record shop, and he was a pirate, my dad. He had reel-to-reel tapes of all the records from the charts on them that my godfather used to make up for him to play in our arcade. So that's where I kind of... Tammy, you like Basie Rollers? So did I. At the time, everyone used to laugh at me. I didn't go as far as buying the tartan clothes and all that sort of stuff, but I do still have the album Once Upon a Star up there. So that was a big one for me. Right, what else have I got here? Early single for you, Jonathan, Tragedy. It shows how old I am. I was 19 when that came out. Hi, Deb, how are you? How's the weather over in Canada at this time of year? Tonight, I have to say, I always try and hold out as long as I could. But today, we put the heating on. I'm sorry. I've given up, done it. Tammy, you have 4 of what? Bee Gees albums? I've got a few. I've got Spirits Having Flown. They did one with a red cover, and I can't think what it's called. Can't remember off the top of my head. Obviously, I've got the greatest hits and all that sort of thing. Because being a bit of a pop tart, I tended to have a lot of greatest hits as I was growing up. Now, let me tell you, Chris, about Woolworths and the Top of the Pops albums. You know, when we were in lockdown, we had time on our hands. And what I did, there's a website called Discogs. And on it, you could go through loads and loads of albums, and it tells you all the track listing. Now, we know that all of the Top of the Pops records were cover versions, if you like, by session singers. Well, there were 90 odd of them in total. And what I did, having a lot of records, I could do this. I did all of the playlists, made them into folders on my computer, and done all of the Top of the Pops albums with the original versions. So I've got in my folders Top of the Pops album 1, all of the records that were on it, but played by the original artists. If there were a few along the way that I didn't have, so I replaced them with one from that kind of era, if you know what I mean. And so I do have on my folder all of the Top of the Pops albums in folders on my computer, well, on my hard drive. Right, here we go. Project Weaver, hello to you. Hi, Steve, how are you? You're in Abergavenny. Marty Wilde sang a song about Abergavenny. It's wet and windy for the past 4 days. Snow up north. Oh, Deb, we had to do it today. I just couldn't. Deb's just telling us like that, putting jumpers on and that. And I said, "I'll put the heater on." It's Thanksgiving. Do you know what? We don't have a Thanksgiving in this country, Deb. We don't kind of have an equivalent event at all. But see, you're doing turkey and all that sort of stuff, are you? What day is it? Do you have it on Thursday? Am I right thinking that Thanksgiving's on a Thursday over there? It's classical as a kid, so many of them. Let me ask you a question. When we think, hi, Dom, how are you? You was 3, Pinky and Perky. Ah, I love them. Oh, what day is it in Canada then, Deb? I know I'm jumping all over the place. I'm looking. This is where I'm reading the chat from over here on my PC. So what day is it? This is in November. Oh, right. Okay. There was a Smash Hits record I only bought for the young lady at the cover. Ah, Chris. I don't know what to say. Records, music. I have a friend. We disagree on music entirely, right? You've got a long weekend. Oh, very nice. But a long weekend when you're retired, that's like, it's your time anyway, isn't it? Hope you had a good one anyway. Always the second Monday of October. Cool. I have a friend who doesn't agree with me. I think of oldies music as a friend. It's like an old friend, and when you haven't heard it for a while, it's like you've bumped into them for the first time in ages. And he doesn't get that my love of music is about the memories that flash by with the music, because I can listen to a music and I kind of know where I was at the time when it came out. And he thinks of music in a, as I said to him, a geeky sort of thing. He can tell you who played sax on Spyro Gyra's Morning Dance and things like that. And he's very good at knowing every artist and what thing they played. And he takes everything musically, technically, where I don't. Music to me is the one thing that's been a constant all my life. I've played it and I love it. And I listen to it and I get all of this music coming from all over the place. And it's all like little memories. I think of it as little friends. I don't know about you guys. There's a lot of good speaking going on in here. Nice to see everybody chatting with each other. So, what are your thoughts then? How do you think of music? For me, it is totally about the memories it conjures up. And the reason I'm asking you this is because I'm thinking of doing a video with a load of my old records. I'm telling you about the stories of where I heard them, what went on, where I was, and all that sort of thing. It may be interesting, it may be boring as hell. I just don't know. But I was thinking of doing that as one down the road, if you like. Last night, Jonathan Brewer said to me yesterday about talking about Alfred Hitchcock films. And I was going to watch North by Northwest, but he watched it the other day as well. So I didn't want to talk about that. So I hunted through my collection, you know. And I found Notorious yesterday. Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman is her name? I don't know. but we watched that yesterday. Do you know what? We were talking about it. My wife and I last evening were talking about it. Do you know that I've never seen The Birds or Psycho? I've seen the main bits of it on the telly, but I've never seen either film. Right, Steve, you're absolutely right. Very fitting for me. That was a great record. I've got that as a single somewhere. Yep, Tammy thinks the same. Luke, who your friends were? B-sides. I love a B-side, Luke. I listen to records from, you got, just take into account my age, right? Rear Window. I think I've seen that. I don't know if I have. I've seen Vertigo. I'm having a couple of conversations. Rear Window's good. I've seen Vertigo. Do you know, I've only just started watching the James Bond films, Andy. Someone gave me some and I've started watching them. Birds and Psycho, they're supposed to be really good. I've never seen them. Never seen them at all. So it's something I've got to look at, I suppose. All right, flicking back. Luke, B-sides. I absolutely love the B-sides. I don't know about you. I was born in 1960, so I was really lucky to have grown up through a period of some of the greatest music there ever was from the 60s. When I was a little boy, I had a little party trick that my sister and my brother used to always get me to do. When they had their friends come round, they would get a box of records out, and I'd have been 2, maybe 3. I don't remember this till my sister told me. And she would get them to pick a record up and show it to me, and I would tell them what the record was, even though I couldn't read. And sometimes they would ask me a record, and I'd tell them what it was, and they would say, "No, it's not. It's such and such a record," which was the B-side. I said, and I would say, "Yes, I know. It's the B-side of the." And I was 2 or 3. I don't tend to believe it, but so many people, so many of my sister's friends over the years have told me that I used to be like a little performing monkey in there and used to do it. And I know for a fact that when we travelled on fairgrounds when I was little, I used to go around all my brother and sister's mates and go through their records. I can remember doing that. So, yeah, I have loved music from the very, very start. You were born in 74. Number 1 on my birthday in 1974 was George McRae, Rock Your Baby. I don't know why I know that. I just do it. It's just one of those things that's stuck in my head over the years. You were born in 74. Singles were magic, weren't they? I'm a proper pop tart. On YouTube, I watch a lot of people who do music videos, and so many of them say that they never bought a single, a 7-inch single. They never bought one. I had thousands. I didn't collect records as albums. Like I said, I had a few up until I was about 12. Probably afterwards I started collecting more, but they were mostly greatest hits albums. I bought loads and loads of greatest hits albums just to get the amount of music that I wanted. A lot of my records, you know how, if any of you had singles, I had a record player by a company called Danset, and it was called the Bermuda. It was blue, and it had wallpaper in the back of the lid, I remember. And you used to be able to pile 7 records on top of each other, and they would drop down onto the bottom. But what would happen is when they dropped down, the next one would sometimes spin on the top of the one underneath because it didn't hold tight, it didn't grip. And so they would spin, and that would be a real pain when you were listening to them. I'm sure some of you out there will have had that happen. Coming from a fairground background, right? The records on rides back in the day, they used to have a record player hanging from the ceiling in the cash desk on the ride on bungee ropes, one on each corner. So the records would swing about while the ride was going. but they always stayed still. But the one thing they did to stop the records from sticking and spinning on top of each other was they put a sticking plaster, on the label of the record, and it would grip the one above it. And the reason I know this is because as a little boy, everyone knew my love of records. And so when the people who owned rides bought new records to keep the rides up to date with the music, they would give me the old ones. And I had absolutely loads of them with little bits of sticking plaster on them. And that's how I found out about that. Right, I'm just going to go up here and just check what's going on. Oh, Tammy, I'm so glad you kept the singles. I have loads, to be honest with you. In that cupboard just back there, there is a long shelf full of records. Behind me, just down there, there are 3 boxes like that full of singles. I've got singles everywhere in here. I don't too often play them anymore, but I do. I love the single. Your birthday number 1 was a shocker. Ringo Starr. If it was 74, would it have been your 16? It wouldn't have been photographed because that would have been earlier. Trying to think, boys. Yeah, I'd go for your 16 as your number 1 on your birthday then. Just a guess. Wheels in the UK, Deb. We never had your original version. We had a version by the Joe Loss Orchestra that made the charts over here. Jonathan Brewer, your favourite score is rated Titanic. Mine is by Ennio Morricone and it's Cinema Paradiso. That's my favourite one. Some EPs. Yeah, they did, didn't they? I think they all had the little ridge, but some were much lower than the others. And so they didn't really catch properly. But that was the fairground get round to it, was putting the sticky label or the sticky plasters on them. Bogart fan, Big Sleep and Casablanca. I've got both of them, and I've also got African Queen downstairs as well. Billy Vaughan did Wheels in 1961. Yeah, we got it the same year. Funny thing that used to happen in Britain, Deb, was that the hits of America, particularly, used to be covered by a British artist, and they would go against each other in the charts. And obviously, over here, the British artist, more often than not, would get the bigger the hit of it. But there was so many records that came out over the years in the UK. I've got reel-to-reel tapes down there, as it happens, that my dad recorded that have got British singles on them and the American cover on the same tape. So, Little Dog Cried, 1961. This is the other thing I loved as a child. Now, I don't know about you. Singles used to come on different labels, didn't they? Jimmy Rogers in the UK would be on the Columbia record label when the early hits were on green Columbia, and then they changed the label color to black. This is how much of an OCD, nerdy, geeky kind of person that I am once I get talking about music. Maltese Falcon. I think I've seen that one. Long time ago, though. Yes, Jonathan. Ennio Morricone is a music genius. So what have you been watching? I'll tell you what I've been watching. Last night, I've been watching ER for a while. And last night, we binged watched part of Series 7. And we watched 6 episodes, one after the other last night. Great fun. Loved ER. Really good stuff. Record shops and hunting. Right, I have a story to tell. Back in the 70s, when disco first came out, I bought. I'm going to do a video about 12-inch singles as well, because that was a big, massive love. Because at the age of 17, I started DJing, and I was DJing in a club in Weymouth. And it was just when those 12-inch singles first started coming about in the UK. And so I used to buy loads of them. And there was this one that I heard about by somebody called Roy Ayres, and it was called Running Away. And it wasn't available on any other format than US import. And I can remember catching a train from Weymouth into London and going to an import record shop and buying the 12-inch single of Running Away. And I paid £6.99 for it, which was really expensive at the time. And I'll tell you how so expensive it was. The 12-inch single cost me more money than the return train fare to London from Weymouth in Dorset. So yeah, I've done that. I have bought CDs from Japan. They do very good CD quality stuff. I've bought some from there. Jonathan's bought the Indiana Jones series on Blu-ray. I bet that wasn't cheap, was it? I was only saying to Debs this morning, Chris, the Marx Brothers. I haven't got any of their films, and yet I've talked about this before as well. When we had the arcade down the seaside and the bingo, when we come in of the evening, my dad would phone his brother up, who had an arcade as well down the coast further along, and they would talk about how the business had gone in the day. And at the time, obviously, we all had plug-in telephones into the wall, so he would and the phone was in the living room, and he'd sit in the living room talking to his brother, and me and my mum and my little sister would watch the telly silently. And I can so remember the Marx Brothers films, because my mum would sit there and commentate movement for movement through the film what was going on, because we were listening to it silently. And my mum would be in hysterics. She'd be laughing her head off because she remembered them all from when she was growing up. And I don't have any Marx Brothers films. So I said to Debs about this last night, we were talking about it, and I think it's something I've got to sort of do something about, and go and collect some DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever of the Marx Brothers and start watching them again. Because from what I remember, even though I've only ever seen them silent, they were really, really good. Carry On fan, I've got probably 8 or 9, I suppose, but most of them were picked up back in the 90s or the early 2000s, when papers used to give away DVDs in the paper, and I got a load of DVDs from the Daily Mail and the Telegraph. I used to buy the paper depending on what film was coming with it. They're cheap on it. Would that certain one start with an E, Luke? I'll have to go and have a look. I could do with. I'd like to buy a little box set with, like with about 6 or 7 in. That'd be really cool. I'd like to have some Marx Brothers movies. Last week I haven't moved on to gin from last week. This is water. Just so you know, I wouldn't want you to think badly of me, would I? So, running out of room. Do you remember the other week I said I had someone moan at me because I was talking about I wanted to make some money out of YouTube to help me as I go into, next year when I become a pensioner? Well, this week I had to buy a hard drive, and I had to wait till I got eBay got me going in the head now. My YouTube money to come in so I could buy the hard drive to fill it up. So I got just about enough over the last month to buy a new hard drive for my computer. So now I've got room to start doing more videos, because since videos take up so much room, and the reason they take up so much room, the video that I put out on Friday, the one about confidence and the 10 ways, it's a 9-minute video. I made so many mistakes in it. It took me 22 minutes of film to get it correct and then cut it down to 9 minutes. So I use up loads of, there's so much film that I record when I'm making videos that I end up keeping on one side, editing it all down. So it seems like intelligible, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. Good old H2O, can't beat it. Having one kidney, Steve, I have to make sure I drink enough every day. I've got some Laurel and Hardy DVDs, but they're like little short films, about 20 minutes, not any big long ones. Crocodile Dundee is your most overrated movie, Jonathan. Do you know what? I can't really remember them. I remember seeing them at the time, but they never left a major impression on me. I certainly never bought any of them when they were on VHS or anything like that. He died recently, didn't he? The Three Stooges. When I was a little boy, I can remember being about 5, maybe 6, getting for Christmas a little plastic like cine film projector, and it had one film with it, and it was the Three Stooges, and I used to put it on and watch it against the wall in my bedroom, and it'd be as big as that tiny little picture, but it was silent. And I think that's the only thing that I've ever seen with the Three Stooges in. I've never kind of slapstick scenes, love or hate. Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about this the other day. I quite like slapstick. It makes me laugh. Anything childish does. But Debs can sit through Norman Wisdom films, for example. Debs sits there, doesn't raise a laugh, while I'm like, ah. So we both like different things in that concern. Not a Monty Python fan, but love ripping yarns. I haven't seen Ripping Yarns, and I wasn't a massive Monty Python fan. My dad loved them. My dad thought they were brilliant. I never quite got them, to be honest with you. Blimey, the time's going quickly tonight. We're 38 minutes been going already. Wow. And you may have noticed that I've used my phone again tonight, because when I'm using my data, it doesn't seem to crash. It's only when I plug into my computer that it can't hack it. Terrible. Goodies. The Goodies were brilliant in their day. I loved the Goodies until I saw a repeat on the telly about 6 months ago. And it did nothing for me. I couldn't even raise a little grin out of it. And yet I loved the Goodies first time round. What does still make me laugh is the Funky Gibbon record. Which does remind me that Steve Vowles asked me to do a video on 70s novelty songs. I can recall he asked me that, and I know he did because I've written it down here somewhere on my list of got to have a look at. Yeah, Chris, that's how I felt when I saw the Goodies. Watching them again, I didn't quite enjoy it like I used to when I was a kid. It did to me. It hasn't transferred well over the various years, sadly, because I thought it was brilliant at the time. This is becoming video and music channel by the looks of it. But I'm going to do that. That's what I am going to be doing. A few videos for music and video, because my normal content at the moment is doing so badly, and the views of them are awful, and so many people aren't watching them anymore. So I'm going to have a little bit of a change, give them a break and do some other stuff for a minute, and then I'll come back to them when I've had a little break from them. Jasper Carrot, Funky Moped, Turn It Over, play the B-side, Magic Roundabout, which was a farcical version of the Magic Roundabout program, what used to be on the telly in the UK. Lots of comedians made records, the best of which for me was Terry Scott and My Brother, which was just brilliant. And then you had Bernard Cribbins, who did Right Said Fred, Hole in the Ground, loads of those kind of records, but they were a bit earlier in the 60s, they were. And I can remember buying a K-Tel album. I'm not saying the name of that song, Christopher Pomfrey. I am not saying the name of Ivor Biggin's song. It's not happening. This is a family entertainment channel. I've totally lost my thread again. It's done it. You've done it to me again. Andy, on the telly the other night, I don't know what channel it was on, but there was a Jasper Carrot one-man stage show on that was quite good. Do you know what, Jonathan? I know I'm changing and jumping about. I'm just reading the messages and just answering as I go. Jonathan, I am probably the only person I know who could not stand War of the Worlds. Everyone has been on to me about it. I've got it. I had it from years ago, and I played it and never really liked it. And I played it a few weeks ago. It's probably a few months. I tend to say that a few weeks ago. It's probably a few months ago. And was totally bored by it, and still do not get any of that War of the Worlds thing. Wasn't David Essex on what, Andy? Don't know. Do you like Tom Lehrer? To be honest, I don't know who he is. He's a comedian. Okay. Speaking of comedians, my wife and I are going to Cambridge Corn Exchange on her birthday to see Ross Noble. He's a Geordie comedian that used to be on the telly a lot years ago, and we haven't seen him for years, but we're going to, as it's her birthday, we're going to that one. We're going to go and see that. Journey to the Centre of the Earth. Wasn't that something on the telly years ago? I don't know if... I don't know. Was David Essex in it? I listened to the album, but to be honest, I kind of... Because I didn't enjoy it, I kind of, zoned out from it. Rick Wakeman. That was an LP, yes. And he had the thing about Henry VIII as well, didn't he? There were albums in the 70s, I take it. Bit prog rocky for me. Yeah, see, Luke, I have to tell you, right, I was having this conversation this morning. I think it was with Chris as well. There's lots of stuff that I don't like. There's lots of stuff that I do. There are lots of genres of music about there. But I think there are only two. There are the music that I like, and the music that I don't. But here's the thing. Just because I like something that you don't doesn't make me right. You like all the worlds and I don't. It doesn't make you right either. But what it does do is it proves, and this is my favourite point, that there's something for everyone with music. It doesn't matter. I see so many, I call them the music police. Oh, Superman, you can shove that. Sorry, Chris. Oh, Superman was the most boring record I think I've ever heard. 6.5 minutes of someone going, whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, music. The fact is that music is great to the person who's listening to it, and that is really the only important thing. My favourite records will 99% of the time be records that other people can't stand. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, it only needs to be me who likes the stuff I like. Anyone else could like what they like. And I've had this run in over the years with Northern Soul fans. I like some of it, a lot I don't. And I used to DJ on the soul scene. So I've bought a fair bit of Northern Soul over the years, even though I don't particularly like it. And one person was pointing at me and arguing with me over his love of Northern Soul. And for once in my life, you know, when you say something and you've had this conversation with someone and you walk away and you come up with great answers afterwards. You know what I mean? Well, on this particular occasion, this Northern Soul, he was ripping into me because I said I didn't love it and it wasn't my thing. And he went, yeah, but they're rare. They're such rare records. We pay hundreds of pounds for them. And I said to him, and do you know why they're rare? And he went, why? And I went, because they were rubbish and nobody bought them in the beginning. They all threw them away or didn't sell many. That's why they're rare. Anything good, there's millions of them out there. It kind of it stopped an argument. Taste is a funny thing, right? Because in this chat room, there are 14 of you, right? At this particular moment in time, there are 14 of you who enjoy this bit of company that we've got together, right? There's probably 14 million out there who've never heard of me, never want to look at my videos or have seen my videos and think they're rubbish and would not be anywhere close to one of my things. So obviously taste is subjective. Let me see what we got here. Well, you're absolutely right, Luke, about our favourite songs, albums. My favourite album is Stevie Wonder, Song in the Key of Life. I've loved it since the minute I bought it on the day of its release in October 1976. I put the needle on side one, and the first 10 seconds of Love's in Need of Love Today absolutely grabbed me, and it didn't let me go to the end of the album and the extra lyrics come with it. I absolutely adore the album so much that I've even done a video about it. There's a video on my channel somewhere about that album. But not lots of people are going to like it because it's not their style, and that's fine, absolutely fine. And the thing I love is that if you love something, you love it, and it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. And you're going to get a taste of some of the kind of stuff I love, and it will just prove to you that you'll go, see, I knew he had no taste in music. My music ranges from, you want to listen to this, it's that good, right across to, please don't judge me because I like this. I've got it's really broad. Cristiano, hello. You're quiet, but you're here, and that is the only thing that matters. So pleased you're here. Andy Merritt, enjoy. I've wandered off. I've tangented. I've talked about other stuff. I don't know what that's about now. I've lost it already. This is such a good one tonight. I'm enjoying this. My favourite Alan Parsons Project. Am I a Steely Dan fan? Tammy, absolutely. Alan Parsons Project. I've got some of his tracks that I bought off of Amazon, but I've never played one of his albums. He's a bit too rocky for me because I'm a bit of a wimp. I'm a bit of a pop tart. I've always said I'm a pop tart. Steely Dan, I absolutely adore Steely Dan. My favourite Steely Dan track came off their first album, and it's called Only a Fool Would Say That, and it's about John Lennon. Oh, Jonathan Brewer, how can you do this to me? I don't have a favourite classical composer. I know the Sabre Dance. I like that. One of my top 5 albums, going back to Steely Dan, isn't a Steely Dan album, but it's The Night Fly by Donald Fagen, which is the first solo one, and that is just unbelievable. That is a cracking one. I have, however, Jonathan, got a classical album. I have the one that I bought, can't find it now, in there somewhere, that I bought years ago with the London Symphony Orchestra, and it came out on K-Tel or Arcade, and they did like 7 or 8 tunes from like Dance of the Bumblebee, Sabre Dance, the theme from Romeo and Juliet. I've got that album that I bought at the time. So, no, I don't really know who's classical. Classic to me would be Elvis Presley, Little Richard, Fats Domino. That would be that for me. Remember Switched on Classics? Yes, I do. I had that as a 12-inch, funnily enough. There was a load in that period, wasn't it? Around 1981, when there were loads of records being mixed and done. Oh, while I think of it, I have to say thank you to Dino S, who bought me a coffee this week. Thank you very much, my friend. Very, very grateful for that. Oh, my screen just went off then. Moving my mouse about, I just moved something and the screen went off and I was in a panic. Did I ever listen to the instrumental group Sky? They had two Ys, didn't they? Yeah, I did. I think who was in it? Herbie Flowers was in it, wasn't he? I can't think who was else in it. They had some really nice covers on the albums. That was a while back. I'm just trying to think how long ago that would have been. 1970s, perhaps. John Williams, yeah. Yeah, was it 3 albums they made? Yeah, they had yes. 1, 2, 3 albums. You're a pirate, Andy. Did you have a parrot on your shoulder when you were recording them? Yeah, so there's a lot of wide-ranging stuff. Keep it in the family. Gregorian chant, the nearest to that I came was a group called Enigma back in early 2000s. You copied the Carpenters as well. What did you do? Build a shelf? Sorry. You remember Enigma? Yep. I thought they were really good. Not quite the same as Enigma, but started with an E as well. I liked Enya. Do you remember Enya? It would fall down like Frank Spencer if you tried. I have a box set of some others do have them. Right, it's 5 to 7. I'm going to shoot off because I haven't had any dinner yet. And so I'm going to be leaving you all very shortly to go and have some food. Yeah, they do sell the same, but I did like, that was Clonad, wasn't it? That was Enya. She was in that Clonad. Was it Harry's Game, the theme from Harry's Game on the telly? You got pie cooking? Clonad, yeah. You're welcome, Jonathan. What pie have you got cooking? I mean, I'm concerned that it's not apple and pear or something like that. Thank you, Deb. Thanks for coming along. If you've got a video out, I'll check it out tomorrow, all right? I take it you've had one out today. Chicken and asparagus. We had chicken and leek. Deb's made chicken and leek pie the other day. It was lovely. Not homemade. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. Thank you, Tammy. Nice to see you. Glad you like a bit of Steely Dan. Everyone's off and leaving now. Harry's Game, you remember it well, Steve. Yeah. I'll enjoy a cup of tea as well. I'll have a cup of tea with my tea. Hang on, under an hour tonight. Well, it's not yet. I'm looking. We've got 3 minutes to go before I'm an hour. I know we could, truth be told, had I had something to eat and I wasn't starving, this could carry on for at least another hour this evening. But I'm going to have to go because I've got to have some food in a minute. So, yeah, thank you very much for this evening, guys. It's been great. Those of you that are watching on the replay, I do expect you to have commented down below telling me what albums you liked, what were your first albums. I want to know what you've been watching this week. I want to just know what you're doing because we're part of a game now. So I need to just... Oh, no, you have to have a cup of tea in it with your evening meal. And it's like the first cup in the day, isn't it? You've got to have a cup of tea. I get up, right? Debs goes to work at about just after 7 in the morning. She leaves to go to work. I'm the lucky one. I work from home. So I don't have to. But I get up, right? She leaves about 7. I get up just after 5 every morning and get up, make a cup of tea, bring a big old cup of tea back to bed, and we lay in bed, bung the radio on, and we have the first hour laid in bed, drinking a cup of tea, listening to the radio before we even think of getting up. My son says he puts the alarm on and snoozes it for 5 minutes, and then he gets up. That would do my head in. That would do my head in having to do that. You're a coffee guy in the morning. I don't drink coffee. It gives me really bad headaches, even the rubbish stuff. When I was about 19, I used to drive lorries in the winter, and I used to deliver stuff all over to shops all around the country. And at Hayes in Middlesex, they had a Nescafe place, and every time you drove into there, it stunk of coffee, and the smell was so much that it used to give me a headache. And when I was loading the lorry, when we got there and used to load the lorry in the morning, the smell would be so much that my head would be splitting. I'd have a splitting headache by the time I drove away. If people who work there must get used to the smell, but it was so much, and it put me off of coffee. And I haven't drunk coffee really since then, except for the time where I live over the back of here. There's a shopping mall thing, and they wash cars there. So I took my car to have it washed one day, and he said to me, come come back in 45 minutes. It'll be done in 45 minutes. So I went to the local Costa, and I got I don't know, what is it called, a latte or something, and I drank it, and it was just like badly tasting hot milk. I've never, for some reason, I know that Deb and OJ are going to unfriend me now because I've said it. But I don't like coffee. It just makes me ill. My wife... OJ might have to stop watching me. Listen, I'm not stopping you from drinking coffee. You're very nice people. It's okay. I don't mind. But no, I try it. I try these things every now and again. I buy a cup of coffee to see what it's like, and always remind myself that it doesn't really work for me. You have to be subtle about it, but you have to go and like clean your teeth when you've drunk it. I'm sorry I've let you down, OJ and Deb. I wouldn't know. I've never drunk green tea. I'm a kind of breakfast tea kind of guy. But I don't drink tons. I drink more of this stuff than anything else. So yeah, that's... we wander into the world of tea and coffee. Ugh. Hello, Chasey. You have just got here in time to say hello. It's good to see you. I hope you're well. How's Manchester at the moment? Is it cold and windy? Yeah, so it's nice to see people from all over the country and outside. It's really nice to know that you guys would like to come together and have a chat with me on a Monday evening. It's really pleasing. It's one of the funnest things I do of the week. I'm not saying that I don't do anything else, but sitting here chatting with you guys is always a bit of fun. And I look forward to it each Monday. And I have toyed, you know, with doing more lives and less videos, because to be fair, they are more fun. When I do a video, it's a solo thing. I have to write a script and write an idea, and well, I don't write scripts. I have bullet points to tell me where I want to head with them. Or I do my favourite, which is pick up the camera and just chat. The trouble with me is that you will know this by now. If you've watched these live streams, you will know that I go off on a tangent and start talking about something, and then sometimes I get back to what I started off with, but often I don't. And so they're quite that. Do you remember I did the 30-day challenge? I did a video a day for 30 days. Just wrote 30 titles out and just picked the camera up and just started talking. Funny thing is my channel started to slow down after that. But yeah, these live streams are tremendous fun for me, and I look forward to seeing you guys every Monday. But my stomach is rumbling, and I really have to go and get something to eat. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you muchly for being here with me. As I said, we've got a few different videos on the way. We've got a few different videos on the way. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I'm going to film the one of my first 10 albums. You'll be surprised at what's in there. And we'll speak to you next week. We'll do this again. And next week, I'd like you to have some ideas of some things that I could do as videos. Tammy, I thought you'd already gone. Right. Good night, all. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye now.